Sunday, he moved to 7th on the all-time assist list, passing Oscar Robertson. After the game, LeBron discussed passing the Big O.
I am a historian of the game, and I know quite a bit about the Big O. You know, from his times from high school to the University of Cincinnati to actually playing for Cincinnati Royals all the way to Milwaukee and so on and so on. What he meant to the game, what he still means to the game, is something that's just unparalleled. And obviously, you know, he will always have a connection with Russ, you know, what they was able to do for multiple seasons. But he was one of the first really premier big guards that, you know, could do pretty much everything on the floor. But his ability to get teammates involved, his ability to find his teammates, his ability to provide that sense of joy on the floor because of the past is something that I've always respected and gravitated towards guys like himself and J. Kidd and Magic. It's anytime like I know I sound like a broken record, but it's the honest to God truth. Anytime I'm connected or anything with the greats, it's a true honor.
So passing the Big O, Dan, I want to start with you. LeBron has always been about the pass first. Where does this, when it comes to statistical accomplishments for LeBron, where does it rank among what he's done so far?
It's up there. I mean, I think, you know, Allie, there's a good chance, right, that LeBron James will be the all-time leading scorer in NBA history, right? Like, that's a reasonable thing that he may break Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's record. But I think remembering him as a scorer is probably not the right way to celebrate his game 30, 40 years from now, right? Like, that it really was more about, you know, the Supreme Court vision, eyes in the back of his head, plus like just the skill and touch to make all sorts of kinds of passes. Always thought he was a little more Magic Johnson than Michael Jordan. And I think that's why like these assist records and that statistical number, obviously a tremendous scorer too. But I think to me, it's the passing is I think how he would probably want to be remembered most, that and the winning.
Yeah, he's brought that up a few times with everybody in these media sessions that, yeah, he was a passer first. That's always been his mindset. But passing Kareem, which, by the way, at this pace, if he keeps scoring 30-plus points a game, before the season started, he was on pace to pass Kareem probably March of 23. He might pass Kareem like next month. I mean, it's getting pretty crazy with the numbers. Of course, I kid, but maybe like December of this year or January of next year.
Dan was nervous for a second.
Yeah, Dan's like, that's like 60 points a game, Brez. I don't think that's going to happen. But I think he's kind of expedited the timeline if he does stay healthy. I might not necessarily be after the All-Star break next year. We're talking, you know, 14 months from now, 13 months from now.
Indeed, I like the way you put it, Dan, that remembering him as a scorer, though it is so incredible, is not the right way. Because when you do talk about the assists, to kind of bring it within the family, 253 assists behind Magic. Obviously, we know that Magic is one of his favorite players. Once he passes Magic, Dan, how much do you think it'll mean to him, especially to do it in a Laker uniform?
That'll be a big deal, right? I mean, I think LeBron is keenly aware of these sort of accomplishments. I think you can hit his IG and figure out that, like, you know, when people let him know something, he'll share it. But I think that you know, Magic in a Laker uniform, like I said, always to me like probably the clearest parallel. And like if you were going to say like what kind of player LeBron James is to someone who's never watched LeBron play, I think Magic Johnson would be the first name that I would mention, right? Like obviously a totally different scorer and stuff like that, but just the size, the strength, and the vision, and you know, to pass Magic Johnson, that'll be a special moment for him, I'm sure. Just like it was a special moment for him when he passed Michael Jordan on the scoring list, when he passed Kobe Bryant on the scoring list. To do it as a Laker, too, obviously just a tremendous achievement. Yeah,
let's not forget Magic helped recruit and get LeBron to Los Angeles. They had that late-night meeting back in 2018 already. I mean, right when free agency began. So, yeah, let's not forget their relationship going back to those years. It's a special night for LeBron, for sure. Dan, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seemed like LeBron wasn't aware that he had passed Oscar last night. You know, when Trudell was asking him the questions after the game, and people say, oh, the athletes know exactly who they're passing and when they're passing him. I would say for the most part that's accurate, but sometimes, you know, LeBron's concerned about winning games and a very good Memphis team coming to town. And I think that caught him off guard a little bit last night. And I thought, you know, and as always, his response is, you know, just kind of deferring to the past and to the history of the great game of basketball.
That, and when you're breaking records
Also,
every single night, I mean.
Yeah, that too. That too.
And I mean, like Allie, Oscar Robertson, also an important player in Ohio basketball history too. So I think that's like another like kind of thing, right? You know, at the University of Cincinnati. So another Allie Clifton, LeBron James, Oscar Robertson, three of the greats.
It's a good trio.
That is a very high standard to put me in that category. Wow, Dan. Well done there. Moving on, though, from Bron, let's take a look at some key NBA dates. Check this out. NBA trade deadline. This is one to mark your calendar for. February 10th. Deadline is at noon Pacific, followed by that same month, the All-Star break, 18th through the 23rd. The regular season will end on April 10th. Next several days will be the NBA play-in tournament, 12th through the 15th of April. And then the playoffs, the best time of year, begin on April 16th. So, with that said, we are going to take time now for a little rank 'em.
Rank 'em.
Gator's favorite game that he created. With a month until the NBA trade deadline, who you guys would like to see the Lakers target? Brez, we're going to start with you at number 3.
Okay, this is definitely Plan C, and I think Dan and I are probably both on the same page here. We're assuming the Lakers are not trading any of their top 3 players. You know, A, they make a ton of money, and B, you know, I think the Lakers are curious to see how this thing works out. So you're talking about kind of a middle of the pack trade. You know, Talen Horton-Tucker is really the only mid-range salary they have. He's making about $9.5 million. Okay, enough of the preamble. Terrence Ross from Orlando is my number 3. Definitely Plan C, a veteran. So the Lakers indeed get older, but not too old. He's still 29 years old. He's got, actually he's 30, but he's got some skills. He can shoot. His three-point touch is a little off this season, but he plays for Orlando. How many open looks is he really getting? They've kind of talked about him in the past. He's bounced up here and there over the years as a future Laker. Maybe this is finally the year that they get it done. Definitely more consistent, perhaps, than some of the young guys they have on the team.
Dan, you're number 3?
Brez, that's a terrible idea. Number 3 to me, and I also disagree with just everything you just said. I'm going to have Buddy Hield on the list. And the reason why I have Buddy Hield there is that if the Lakers were to find a team to take Russell Westbrook in a trade, if that's what they were going to do, the Kings feel like maybe the kind of team desperate enough to get a star. They've never really been able to sign one in free agency. So maybe they do that. It's some sort of complicated 3-team deal, and we kind of go back to, you know, late July, and we run it back with this alternate sort of Back to the Future timeline in which Buddy Hield ends up as a Laker. Maybe that's what happens.
How wishful is that versus realistic, Dan?
Speaking of weird ideas.
Brez, you're number 2.
So back to August. I'm going to go with another veteran who's actually a better scorer, a little more consistent than Terrence Ross, Harrison Barnes. The guy did win a championship back in 2015, making $20 million, so it's not out of the Lakers' range. They want to attach a couple guys together. Look, his salary even drops from 20 to about 18 next season, which will be the final year of his contract. 42% from three-point range this season, so he's definitely getting it done. Very, very consistent. THT and Malik Monk have shown they can do it some of the time. This is a guy who scores his 16, 18, 20 points every single night. As you mentioned, a former champion. Dan, you're number 2.
I don't know if you guys can Photoshop this up of him in a Lakers jersey, but how about a plucky guard named Josh Hart from the New Orleans Pelicans?
Well, back to the time machine.
You want to stick with the theme that the Lakers had for the season? Bring them all back.
Yeah, you know, a guy who has been just fantastic this year, for a very, very, very bad Pelicans team. A much better three-point shooter than when he was with the Lakers. Still a really great rebounder, a tough defender. To me, just sort of like the perfect kind of player you want to have around a championship team. That THT deal could be around Josh Hart. He's still young enough where I think he's part of your group. I think that would make a lot of sense.
I like that one. All right. I don't feel like the two of you are going to go separate ways on number 1. So, Brez, you pitch me yours.
Okay.
We'll see how different Dan can be with his.
Jerami Grant. I mean, the guy makes $20 million. It's definitely a contract the Lakers could acquire without giving up one of their big 3. Look, we got to know him really well 2 years ago when the Lakers were playing against him in the Western Conference Finals. The big question was, he was part of Denver. He was part of their fourth or fifth option. How would he do on his own? The answer is a resounding very well. He's scoring 20 points a game for the second year in a row. Got a thumb injury right now. He's probably out until February, but a manageable contract. He gave the Lakers some defensive bite and some scoring prowess. And I can't wait for Dan to say the Lakers should bring back Julius Randle. Why not? We'll make it all former Lakers on Dan's list.
You two are going to be on the same page, I think. Dan?
Number one for me is Robert Horry. No, it's actually Jerami Grant.
You would say Robert Horry, too.
It's Jerami Grant. And for everything that Brez just said, it is a deal that the Lakers, the math is there. It is complicated, Brez. When you start putting together 3-4 contracts to send out for one player, you might have to involve a second team. A third team in that deal. This will be, I'll be very curious to see, if you're going to acquire Jerami Grant, I don't think THG and Kendrick Nunn are enough. I think you're going to have to go into that 2028 type draft pool. And you're really moving down the line into the future at this point in a way that you have to think that this is a trade that if we make it now, we are going to make the NBA Finals. It's not an envious position that Rob Pelinka is going to be in this deadline.
NBA trade deadline about a month away. We shall see what happens. Lakers mounted a nice comeback in the loss against the Grizzlies with their bench unit ahead. Wayne